"Hey, what are you doing just sitting there? My mom's standing. Get up now!" My husband yelled on the bus, grabbing my arm. I was 9 months pregnant. Everyone froze. Then an old lady spoke up with one sentence that changed it all. "But before we dive in, drop a comment below and tell us what country you're watching from. Hope you enjoy the story." Emily, 9 months pregnant, felt more like a worn-out rag than a mom-to-be. The apartment she'd lived in for 3 years wasn't hers. It belonged to Patricia, her mother-in-law. Every couch, every picture frame screamed someone else's life. Emily was a guest, barely welcome. Jake, her husband, was like a shadow, always hovering just out of sight. Control. That's what their marriage boiled down to. He controlled her money even though Emily, an accountant at a small firm, was the real breadwinner. He controlled her friends, her clothes, even her thoughts, or so it felt. Jake didn't have a steady job, picking up random gigs, and Emily knew that only fed his need to dominate her. Patricia was his silent partner, always backing him up. Emily couldn't remember a single time her mother-in-law took her side, even in small spats. When Jake snapped or put her down, Patricia's silence said it all. Sometimes, catching Patricia's eye, Emily couldn't tell if it was pity or disgust. She was drained, emotionally, physically, done. Pregnancy was rough, not just because of nausea or swollen ankles. A weight crushed her soul, tainting every breath. She was scared. Scared of fights, of being alone, of the future, of Jake. She remembered how it started. Candlelit dates, sweet promises, vows of forever. Jake seemed caring, strong, dependable. But slowly, like poison, jealousy and paranoia crept in, along with a need to break her spirit. Emily tried to fight back, but each battle left her weaker. She shut down, tiptoeing to avoid his temper. That morning, heading to a doctor's appointment, she felt awful. Nausea, dizziness, back pain, everything hit at once. But Emily got up quietly, slipped into her plainest dress, and pulled her hair back tight. She knew any mistake could set Jake off. He was waiting in the hallway, glaring at his watch. Patricia, already dressed, sat by the door, not even glancing her way. "What's taking so long?" Jake growled, yanking her arm. "We're going to be late." Emily flinched but said nothing. She was used to it. She always stayed quiet. All the way to the bus stop, Jake griped about traffic, doctors, life itself. Emily trudged beside him, head down, trying to vanish. Patricia trailed behind, saying nothing. A crowd was already at the stop. Emily felt sick, swallowing hard to keep from throwing up. She gripped Jake's hand tighter. "I'm not feeling good," she whispered. "Suck it up," he shot back, not slowing down. "Bus is coming." The city bus was packed, full of people rushing through a gray fall day. Emily, 9 months pregnant, barely squeezed in, clutching the handrail with a shaking hand. Her belly ached, breathing was tough, and the stuffy air didn't help. Jake and Patricia pushed in behind, showing no concern as usual. After a few stops, a seat opened up. Feeling her knees give out, Emily sank into it, ignoring the glares from other riders. She just needed a moment to breathe. Then, like a slap out of nowhere, Jake's voice boomed. "What are you doing just sitting there? My mom's standing. Get up now!" Emily jolted, his harsh words stinging like a whip. Her face burned with shame. The bus went silent, passengers looking away, pretending nothing was happening. Nobody wanted to mess with the loud jerk. Emily stared at her lap, frozen. She was used to giving in, doing what Jake wanted, putting his needs first. It was easier. No arguments, no drama. But now in this crowded bus, under strangers' eyes, shame hit differently. Not just for the moment, but for her weakness, for letting herself be walked over. Patricia, standing next to Jake, gave Emily a look dripping with contempt. She'd always thought Emily wasn't good enough for her son. Too soft, too pathetic. Watching her squirm now just proved it. Emily's stomach churned, her throat tightening like she was choking. A sharp pain hit her belly, and she grabbed it. Jake, losing patience, barked again. "I said get up! Who am I talking to?" Right then, a calm but steady voice cut through. "Don't yell at a pregnant woman. That's not okay." Everyone turned. It was an older woman a few feet away, small and wiry, with kind eyes and gray hair in a neat bun. Her gaze held quiet strength. Jake, caught off guard, went speechless for a second. He wasn't used to being called out, especially by strangers. The woman didn't flinch. "She's not your property, honey," she said to Emily. "Protect yourself, not his ego." Those words hit Emily like a wake-up call, shaking her out of a long fog. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not as Jake's wife, not as a doormat, but as a person worth respecting. Tears stung her eyes, but she didn't know how to thank this stranger. Jake, snapping out of it, tried to bite back. "Mind your own business, lady." But the woman just gave him a look, part pity, part disgust, that shut him up. Emily felt dozens of stares, sympathetic, curious, judgmental. But none mattered as much as the spark in her chest. Not fear, not despair, but determination. She stayed quiet, not explaining she was sick, that pregnancy was brutal, that she was exhausted. Jake wouldn't care. He'd just find a way to make her feel small. She knew that like her own heartbeat. Instead, she looked at the woman. In her eyes, Emily saw support, understanding, even pride. That look was the final push. Emily realized she was done. Done letting Jake control her life, her body, her soul. Done letting him steal her. Like she was on autopilot, Emily stood. Jake, coming out of his daze, grabbed her arm. "Where do you think you're going?" he hissed. "I told you." But Emily pulled free, not roughly, but with a quiet strength she didn't know she had. "Nowhere," she said, her voice clear, firm. "I'm getting off." The bus stopped at the next station. Emily stepped onto the sidewalk without looking back. She felt the passenger's eyes, heard Jake's muttering, but kept walking. She had no plan, no clue where she was headed, but for the first time in forever, she felt free. Free from fear, from humiliation, from Jake's chokehold. Free to choose her path. Hours blurred by. Emily wandered through parks and streets. She had no money. Jake controlled her finances. Her ID, clothes, everything was at the apartment. Pregnant, broke, alone, she stood at a crossroads, but with a fierce resolve to start over. Who could she call? No parents, no close family. Only one person came to mind, Sarah, her childhood friend. They'd been inseparable growing up, sharing dreams and heartaches, but life pulled them apart. Emily married Jake. Sarah moved away for college. They rarely saw each other, but their bond held. Emily knew Sarah was strong, independent, always sure of herself. Maybe that's why she'd avoided her lately. She was ashamed of how small her life had gotten. But now she had no choice. Emily dialed Sarah's number. It rang forever. She was about to give up when Sarah answered. "Hello?" "Sarah, it's me, Emily," she said, voice shaking. Sarah knew something was wrong right away. "Emily, what's going on? You sound terrible." Emily hesitated, unsure how to admit that she, a successful accountant married to a thriving entrepreneur, was living a nightmare. "Sarah, I need you," she whispered. I left Jake." There was a pause. Emily held her breath. "You left?" Sarah asked, surprised but not judging, almost relieved. "For real?" "Yeah," Emily said softly. "I can't take it anymore." "Where are you?" Sarah asked. "I don't know," Emily admitted. "Just walking around. I've got nothing. No money, no clothes, nothing." "Don't be an idiot," Sarah said. "Come to my place. You know where I live, right?" "I'll be here." Tears streamed down Emily's face. Relief, gratitude, hope. "Sarah." "Thank you," Sarah said, whispering. "Thank you so much." "No big deal, goofball," Emily said. "Just hurry up. I'm already making tea." Emily wiped her eyes and checked the time. Sarah's place was about an hour away by bus. At Sarah's apartment building, Emily knocked shyly. When she got there, Sarah was waiting at the door, a bit older, but still full of life. She gasped and pulled Emily into a hug. "Emily," she cried. "God, it's so good to see you." Sarah ushered her inside. Emily's apartment was small but warm, with photos on the walls and books and trinkets on shelves. Emily felt safe here. "All right, spill," Sarah said, sitting Emily at the kitchen table. "I've got tea ready and we'll get some food soon." Emily told Sarah everything. How she'd married Jake for love, How he turned cruel, controlling, and humiliating her life, how she lived in fear, trapped, and how she dreamed of freedom. Sarah listened quietly, refilling Emily's tea, passing her sandwiches. When Emily was done, Emily finished. Sarah sighed and hugged her tight. "You poor thing," she said. "You've been through hell, but it's gonna be okay now. I've got your back." Sarah kept her promise. She took Emily in, fed her, clothed her, helped with paperwork. She listened to Emily's fears. Sarah listened to her doubts, boosting her confidence. Sarah's apartment became a haven, a place where Emily could just be. Sarah didn't pry, just made tea, tucked a pillow under Emily's back, and held her hand. She knew Emily needed support, not pity. Just Sarah. First, Emily tackled her paperwork, dragging herself to government offices despite her heavy belly. Sarah found her a sharp lawyer, a young woman who listened to Emily's story and nodded. Emily worked tirelessly, diving in, sorting emails, photos, recalling conversations, and noting anything useful. As an accountant, she loved order, and now in her chaotic life, she clung to it. It gave her control. Pregnancy was tough, headaches, exhaustion, but Emily focused on her baby, determined to be strong. Jake called Sarah a few times, begging, then threatening, insulting. Sarah hung up, knowing he could be dangerous. Emily knew about the calls but tried to block him out. She'd erased him, focusing on her future, her child, a new life. Finally, labor came. It was long and grueling, but when they placed her tiny, warm baby on her chest, Emily forgot everything. Tears of joy filled her eyes. She was a mom. She named her son Liam. He became her light, her hope, her love. She'd watch him for hours, adoring his tiny hands, his soft breaths. Months later, Emily filed for divorce. Jake, hearing this, demanded to meet. He begged her to come back, swore he'd change, said he loved her. Emily looked at him, calm and detached. The man she'd loved was gone. All she saw was a pitiful, weak stranger. "I'm not coming back, Jake," she said firmly. "I don't love you anymore, and I don't want to see you." Jake pleaded, threatened, yelled, but Emily didn't budge. The divorce went smoothly. Jake didn't fight it, didn't demand assets. He signed the papers and left. Emily exhaled. She was free from Jake, his control, his cruelty. She rented a small apartment across town, furnishing it simply but cozily. New furniture, art on the walls, flowers by the window. Evenings, she'd walk with Liam in the park, read to him, sing lullabies. She watched him grow, learn to talk, laugh, and every milestone filled her with joy. Emily often thought of that old lady on the bus, the stranger whose words changed her life. She was grateful for showing her, for the push toward freedom. Emily wasn't scared anymore. She knew she was strong, independent, deserving of happiness, and she was happy. She lived fully, loved, raised her son, worked, chased her passions. She was free. For the first time, Emily smiled, not because she had to, but from peace and joy. She smiled for her new life, for herself.